Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Hello Educator. Today's edition of Hello Educator is the 10th episode of Mango Science Radio. The story is from Obli Chandran and it is on the famous failed experiment.
Hi, Mango Science Radio listeners. Obli Chandran here. I'm sure you must be waiting for the next story. So here today I'm going to talk about an historic experiment that was performed nearly 133 years ago in 1887. That is famously referred to as the most famous failed experiment. But before I get into what it is, let me just give you a quick understanding of what light is. So today scientists say light behaves like both as a particle and as a wave. So when I say light behaves like a particle, you can think of like the bullets coming off a gun like a particle. And when I talk of waves, you can imagine like water waves, because water waves is something that all of us easily relate to. So either a particle can either an object entity can behave like a wave or a particle, but not as both. But again, light is peculiar. It behaves in both ways. But nevertheless, when people found out discovered that light behaved like a wave, they started comparing it to what we all know of waves, like water waves. So right now, today we know that any wave that we can think of in reality, like sound waves or water waves, they require a medium to pass through. Like sound wave, for example, requires air to pass through for it to propagate. In vacuum, where there is no particles, sound cannot propagate. It requires a medium to propagate. And also water waves require water itself to propagate. Without it, it cannot propagate. So waves by nature from a water understanding was requires medium to travel. So since light was also behaving like a wave, so probably a scientist back then in 1880s, they thought maybe it also requires a medium to travel, and they started looking out for that medium. It was not obvious, like in the case of water or in the case of air. The light medium was not obvious. So in fact, they named the medium before they began the search for it. They named it as the medium as luminiferous ether. So for now, let us call it as the medium ether. So now they started looking out for it. They conducted this famous experiment in 1887. So I'm not going to get into the technical details of how the experiment was conducted. I'm just going to talk about the result and the persons who performed it. So this is famously called as the Michelson and Morley experiment. So both of them were the scientists who were actually setting up the experiments to test or to find ether. So Michelson and Morley, both of them were like very eagerly, they were like so excited to find ether. So they thought that light must travel through ether, and not just them. Everyone back then in the scientific community, they thought light should be requiring a medium to travel through, and they were happily looking for it. Like they were doing experiments to look out for it. And surprisingly, the shocking result of this experiment was that the ether as a medium could not be found. So Michelson and Morley, in the beginning, they thought, okay, there should be some experimental mistakes that they did. They tried to correct it. They tried to do it again. Over the span of several years, they struggled to find ether, and no matter how sensitive their equipment became, they still were not able to find the medium ether. So and the entire scientific community was shocked back then, and beyond a point, it looked like there was no medium ether, and they just had to drop the experiment because the experiment was continuously giving the negative results in this case. So this experiment was also famously known for finding nothing. So in fact, for finding nothing, they were even awarded the Nobel Prize, because look, not finding ether might not sound a big deal to us today. For not finding anything, how can they award a Nobel Prize? But the Nobel Prize was awarded for not finding ether because it's a fundamental understanding of nature. It revealed a fundamental understanding of nature that there was no medium that was there through which the light traveled. So it means light can travel without a medium. For example, light can travel from sun to earth even though there is no medium in between. So that was a revelation back then, that ether was not there, and for finding nothing, that a Nobel Prize was given to them. But the interesting part is this: even after the results proved to be negative, that is, the ether was not able to be found, Michelson and Morley, both of them continued to believe that ether was there. They were so disappointed that ether was not, because they had in their mind set it up that light has to be traveling to ether, so they could not come out of it. So despite the fact that they were awarded the Nobel Prize for their wonderful discovery, they were not satisfied with their mind, because they could not make peace with it. Oh, how can ether be not there? Ether has to be there. This does not make sense. But that, my listeners, is the key of science. The key of science is, it doesn't matter what one's personal beliefs are, doesn't matter what one's personal biases are or prejudices are, even if it is a populist view, even if the entire world thinks this is how it should be, it doesn't matter. All that matters is what experiments tell you. If what you say agrees with the experiment, then it is true. If it does not, then it is not true. It doesn't matter how beautiful your theory is, or it doesn't depend on who said it. Even if Newton says it, even if Einstein says something, it need not be true. It cannot be true. It has to pass through the rigor of experiment. Only then it can be true. So this experiment, that Michelson and Morley's experiment of the proving the presence of ether, proved out to be one of the historical moments for two reasons. One is not finding ether, and secondly, the personal biases and beliefs does not matter. The nature doesn't care what you believe. It is what it is. The experiments are the true way of finding the truth about nature, or the facts about nature. So to quote it up, to finish it off, I would like to quote two things, two quotes from two different people, very, very famous people. One is Dr. Carl Sagan. So he says, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. A claim that is of the sort of claiming that ether as a medium is present would require extraordinary evidence. And if you don't find it, no matter how beautiful it is, who says it, it is not there. Secondly, the second quote I'm about to say is Richard Feynman. Richard Feynman is a very famous theoretical physicist who worked on quantum chromodynamics. So he says, it doesn't matter how beautiful your theory is, it doesn't matter how smart you are, if it doesn't agree with the experiment, it is wrong, period. So I hope you understood a bit of history of what happened in our understanding of light as a entity, and also the medium of light, ether, and also I gave you an understanding of why science works when it comes to understanding nature. Thank you guys. I'll catch you again with some other interesting aspect that happened in the past. Thank you. See you again. Bye.
I sincerely hope this edition of Mango Science Radio was lesson worthy. And to everyone who is listening to this episode, remember to question everything unless it is proved by scientific experiments. Take care. Until the next edition, this is Asif signing off.